Good evening, everybody. Warm greetings from Manipal Academy of Higher Education. My warm greetings to Dr. G. Satish Reddy, Secretary, Department of Defense Research and Development and Chairman DRDO, to all faculty members, students, research scholars, and invited guests for this very important lecture by Dr. G. Satish Reddy. At the outset, sir, thank you very much for agreeing to deliver this lecture. It's despite your very busy schedule, it's very important for us to have luminaries like you speaking to our students to inspire them with life stories of success. Friends, we are delighted that Dr. G. Satish Reddy has kindly agreed to deliver a lecture on a very important theme, defense technologies and India's preparedness for the faculty and students of Manipal Academy of Higher Education, organized by the Department of Geopolitics and International Relations. Advances in science and technology has created competition among major powers. Whether it is land-based, air-based, or sea-based assets, the major powers have been reflecting their strategic aspiration through the power trajectory. The theme chosen for today's lecture is very timely and apt, and that from a person who has been spearheading India's defense technology programs. Under Dr. Reddy's stewardship, India has achieved a number of technological advancements, most of it indigenous in anti-satellite testing, successful theater missile defense systems, various interceptor tests, supersonic missiles, and many others. Sir, we are all proud of you and your organization in making India a strong force in the international arena. If today India's position is elevated in the international system, it is only because of India making dramatic progress in the whole process of indigenization of defense technologies. The success of DRDO in a number of areas, including intermediate range ballistic missiles, Agni 5, has demonstrated to the world that India has a huge potential in developing various technologies for protecting its national interests as well as maintaining its national security. The development of nuclear-powered submarine Arihant and its associated launch vehicle K-15 Sagarika missile has augmented India's second strike capability. India is also moving ahead towards one of the best air power capable nations, and the introduction of the state-of-the-art Rafale aircraft attack helicopters have brought in a third dimension or a different dimension to our air power. Moreover, the recent advances have led to a change in the nature of warfare. The likely nature of warfare is changing dramatically. The warfare will mostly be over networks, and hence cybersecurity is also gaining momentum. The protection and security of all critical infrastructure, power grids, banking and finance, nuclear commands and control are getting very important. Today, there cannot be a better person than Dr. G. Satish Reddy to speak on this emerging technology. If India has to become a respectable player in the international system, it has to transition from a net importer to next exporter of various weaponry. India's confidence and preparedness would be very much dependent on its ongoing intensification of manufacturing capabilities with a focus on Make in India campaign. India opening itself and inviting major arms manufacturers to collaborate and make major defense platforms in India for internal consumption and for exports adds another dimension to this endeavor. Establishment of defense production corridors is another welcome development. I am sure DRDO has a big role to play in this regard towards making India Atmanirbhar in its true sense with regard to weaponry and systems. At a personal level, sir, I would like to share with you that I've had a long and memorable association with the DRDO and its life sciences laboratories during my service as a researcher and later as an additional Director General, Armed Forces Medical Services, Medical Research. I'm very happy to inform you that I continue the association even today as I am coordinating the clinical trials of our indigenous cochlear implant development program of DRDO through DEBEL, Bangalore. Sir, I extend a very warm welcome once again and express our sincere gratitude for agreeing to deliver this lecture despite your busy schedule. Thank you very much, sir. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your presidential address. I think you really have set the tone. Now I request Dr. G. Satish Reddy to deliver his lecture. I'm very sorry. In fact, I missed out something. I would like my colleague, Dr. Anand V, to formally introduce Dr. G. Satish Reddy.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Dr. G. Satish Reddy, currently Secretary, Department of Defense R&D and Chairman, Defense Research and Development Organization, is the top defense scientist in the country. A visionary and an institution builder, he has held cutting-edge research on missiles and strategic systems, aerospace, naval systems, materials, armaments, and various niche technologies for defense application. His technology leadership has had a tremendous transformative impact on the development of best-in-class systems for the country, in particular for the Indian Armed Forces. Dr. Reddy had spearheaded the conceptualization and realization of many flagship programs leading to the development and manufacturing of advanced systems for defense of the nation. Under his leadership, DRDO had made rapid strides in design and development of complex and advanced systems that enhance national security. His leadership has generated an ecosystem among various stakeholders, namely in academia, industry, startups, etc., to work synergistically and in harmony to shine for a self-reliant India. Dr. Reddy successfully piloted Mission Shakti, India's first anti-satellite missile, and the hypersonic missile tests. Acclaimed as one of the world's best aerospace scientists of the nation, Dr. Reddy is also the Director General of the Aeronautical Development Agency that had developed the fourth generation light combat aircraft Tejas, which is currently being inducted into the services. Dr. Reddy's significant contributions in the field of technology development and promotion of scientific pursuit has resulted in him being conferred with honorary degrees of Doctor of Science by many leading universities in the country. He is the first Indian recipient over 100 years to be conferred with the prestigious honorary fellowship and silver medal by the Royal Aeronautical Society, London. He has received numerous awards, including the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics Missile Systems Award, first person outside the USA to be awarded in nearly 4 decades, National Aeronautical Prize, the National Systems Gold Medal, the National Design Award, the IEI IEEE Award for Engineering Excellence in the United States, and a Homi J. Bhabha Gold Medal. Dr. Reddy also pioneered in quickly diversifying DRDO's talent to effectively develop required technologies in the ongoing fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The construction of the 1,000-bedded DRDO COVID hospital in 11 days bears testimony to his never say die spirit and effectively mirrors his outstanding humanitarian facet. So with this, I would like to invite Dr. Reddy to give his lecture.
Department of Geopolitical and International Relations, and everyone who is present in the event now. Once again, very good evening to everyone, and let me thank the management of Manipal University for inviting me to give this talk. Firstly, friends, as you know, talking about the defense technologies and India's scenario today, Honorable Prime Minister has given a call for Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbhar Bharat, let me define it this way. It is, in English, we'll say self-reliant India. And when we say Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India, we should have the capabilities to design, develop, produce and test the particular product or system or equipment, whatever we say. Meaning, we need to have the complete knowledge about the system, that is know-how and know-why about the system. And so we are able to completely design the system. May not be all the parts are available within India itself. Yes, if they are available, all 100% is well and good. Not available, but they are commercially available in the free market, then you design the whole system using those components, those materials, and you are able to complete the design analysis, and you are able to develop that, and then you are able to produce that. That means you have the complete production facilities, the complete manufacturing facilities, the machinery, equipment, whatever you require. And also you are able to test that product once it comes out of the manufacturing house. You are able to see that it meets the complete requirements. If you have for all the critical systems what the Indian armed forces require, that is, I'm talking with respect to only the defense related areas right now. That is what is Atmanirbhar Bharat is. And when you look at the scenario of the various technologies today, what the country has possessed right now and where it leads, let me spend some time on the whole things and on each and every subject little bit. Today I can say that we are self-reliant in the areas of missiles, radars, sonars, torpedoes, electronic warfare systems, communication systems, the artillery guns, AWACS systems, airborne early warning systems, and also in the armored vehicles also. These are the areas where I can say that a country today is self-reliant. We are able to develop any system what the armed forces are looking for, and the necessary ecosystem in the country has come up in these areas. And in some of the areas, we are actually fast marching towards self-reliance in that particular areas. Like today, I like to mention that areas are like fighter aircrafts, or submarines, and related systems. So when I talk about this, let me little bit give a brief about all these areas, how we say that we are self-reliant in the country today. Talking about missiles, that is the first one I mentioned. We have developed today varieties of missiles, and which are actually got manufactured and also inducted into the armed forces. Talking about the surface-to-surface missiles, whether it is Prithvi series of missiles, Prithvi 1, Prithvi 2, or the ship-launched Dhanush missile, or the Agni series of missiles, Agni 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 missiles. So these are all the ballistic missiles which have been developed in the country, which have been being produced and inducted into the armed forces. And then the other missiles like the BrahMos, which is a supersonic cruise missile, which actually goes roughly at about 3 times the speed of the sound, and it is a cruise missile, you know, that which flies at a lower altitude, which it becomes difficult for the radars, for the enemy radars to detect this system. And BrahMos is a Indo-Russian joint development program through a company called BrahMos Aerospace Private Limited, wherein India and Russia are partners in that. And the technologies have been developed in such a way that some technologies have been developed by Russian side and some technologies have been developed by Indian side, and that is how the missile has come into the enforce, which is again inducted into armed forces being produced in the country in large numbers. Similarly, we have the surface-to-air missile called Akash, which is an air-breathing technology, ramjet technology, and the missile has been developed by DRDO, and it has gone into the armed forces in large numbers in both into Air Force and Army. Similarly, a little longer range surface-to-air missile called MRSAM, medium range surface-to-air missile, for all the three services, Indian Navy, Indian Air Force and Indian Army, wherein already this system has been successfully developed. It's a Indo-Israel joint venture. It has been developed and it is being produced. Bharat Dynamics Limited is producing, and most of the numbers have already gone into Indian Army also today. And then there are a lot more are being developed in this surface-to-air missiles. Much longer range missile systems are also being developed by the country. The complete radar systems which are required for these systems are also being developed by another DRDO laboratory in Bangalore. Coming to the air-to-air missile, you all would have heard a missile called Astra, which is right now being launched and used by Su-30 aircraft, which has about a longer range, close to about 100 kilometers range, against the aerial targets launched by the Su-30 aircraft. And this missile is also has gone through all the trials and it is being produced, being inducted into the Indian Air Force today. And then again, India has many programs which to develop much longer range missiles as air-to-air missiles. Then we also have, you must have heard recently, another development trials of another missile have happened, which is an air-to-ground missile called Rudram or NGARM. That is new generation anti-radiation missile. That means if any sensor is radiating, electromagnetic radiation it is there, then this missile will be able to lock onto that particular target like radars, and then it will be able to go to the target and attack the radar wherever that location is there. This is the air-to-ground missile. It can be used in the anti-radiation mode, or it can be in the against the normal targets also, which you actually give the location. It can go to that location and destroy that also. This also has got much variants and lots of developments are going on in this direction also. Then we also have anti-tank missiles. Varieties of anti-tank missiles country has developed. The fire and forget Nag missile, which is again a BMP launched anti-tank missile, which is one of the world's, I can say that fire and forget category, which has got a best range, or that is the only missile which has got that type of a ranges in the world today, which has actually completed all its trials, including the complete user trials, which is going into the armed forces today. Similarly, helicopter launched Nag missile called Helina. It is also in the advanced stages of development, which is going again will be going into the armed forces. Then also we have two types of missiles: a tank barrel launched anti-tank guided missile, which is based on the laser guided missile, which also has gone through a couple of trials very recently, and it will go through some more trials and will be getting into the armed forces. Similarly, we also have a man-portable anti-tank guided missile, which is again tested 6-7 times till now and should be getting inducted into the armed forces very soon. So these are all the varieties of missiles. Another missile called Sant also is developed, which is again launched from helicopter for a longer range also. These are all anti-tank missiles which are being developed in the country, varieties of anti-tank missiles which actually apply lots of technologies of electro-optical or infrared imaging seeker technologies, or laser guidance technologies, or millimetric wave guidance technologies, which are used in all these types of anti-tank missiles, which actually are state-of-the-art missiles. Most of them are state-of-the-art missiles and with state-of-the-art technologies. And then another important thing what we have also got is the ballistic missile defense program. If there is a ballistic missile which is coming towards this country, and you can intercept it in the midair at altitudes of 120 kilometers, 140 kilometers, or at endo-atmospheric region, we have a couple of missiles which have been developed, which have been used in the developmental trials and successfully shown the demonstration against a ballistic missile, hitting the ballistic missile and neutralizing the ballistic missiles at very high altitude, as I said, about 120 kilometers from the surface of Earth, and trying to see that. This is one of the very important systems where in the world there are only about 4 to 5 countries which have actually got such successful program, and we are one of them. And most of these technologies have been used in the anti-satellite test also, by neutralizing a satellite at about 300 kilometers altitude, which was a technology demonstration by this country. So these are all the varieties of missiles which have been developed, and lots of technologies which are required for these things also have been developed, whether it is composite materials or ceramic materials based, the composite rocket motors or nozzles or various fins and wings and all that, the control systems what are required for this, the navigation systems what are required for it and all that. I also can say here the radio frequency seekers or the infrared imaging seekers and varieties of seekers which are required for multiple applications have been developed, and the indigenous content in all these systems is more than about 90% is the indigenous content which goes into these systems. So this is how the various missiles which have been developed in the country, and how we have, that's how we use the word we are self-reliant. All the technologies which are required for these systems have been developed in the country in-house, and there is ecosystem, varieties of lots of industries have come, and lots of industries are able to work and they're able to develop these systems in the country itself. That means Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 industry system also has come, which I'll be dealing with that little later. Then coming to the radars, this is another important area where the country has developed varieties of radars for various applications, whether it is for surveillance applications or tracking applications, and whether it is for a surface to air missile applications or a air to air application, or it is talk about the AWACS related applications, or using in the BMD radar as a very long range radars. These are all the varieties of radars, or in the battlefield radars, or a shipborne radars for the other applications also. There are a number of radars which have been developed with based on varieties of technologies as the state-of-the-art technologies, including the phased array radar also. So all these have been developed, which have been inducted into the armed forces. You talk about today the Akash, the surveillance radar or the tracking radar. Similarly, you talk about QRSAM, again the surveillance radar and the tracking radars, or the BMD radars, which are actually the long range tracking radars, or the multifunction radars which are required for tracking the incoming ballistic missile and guiding the missile which is going towards the missile. These are all varieties of radars which have been developed today in the country, and we are more moving towards very long range radars and talking about beyond 1,000 and thousands of kilometers radars we are able to develop in the country, either on the ground or in the shipborne applications. Or we are also talking about working on research programs like photonics radars and other types of applications which are required by the all the 3 armed forces in the country. So there are a number of radars which have been inducted into the armed forces, which are in hundreds, or rather much beyond that also, which have been inducted into the armed forces, which are being used. And there are also radars which are being developed for highly mobility applications, which are actually very miniaturized, and mobile radars also. Then coming to the electronic warfare systems, this is another important thing which actually have been developed in the country. And electronic warfare systems are one actually naturally you can't buy from anybody else also. You need to develop your own systems in the country, and they have been given in a big way to the armed forces, both Indian Army and Indian Air Force, and even to Indian Navy also. Varieties of systems, and in fact large content of systems which have been developed for both plains and hilly regions and even in Himalayan regions, having the state-of-the-art applications in these systems, whether jamming and parting and other applications and all also are detecting various signals and trying to jam those systems. These are all another electronic warfare intensive applications which have gone into large number have been developed in-house. Then coming to the sonars, there is another important area. A laboratory called NPOL in Cochin has developed varieties of sonars for various ships and submarines which are required. And all the technologies have been developed in-house within the country, and even the submarines which come from outside to this country have been fitted with our sonars in the plant when they are manufacturing those submarines, and those submarines are coming into the country with these sonars which are required. This is another important area where lots of things have been developed in the country, and we can say that we are self-reliant in this with development of multiple types of sonars for these applications. Then coming to another important thing for the naval warfare is torpedo. There have been again multiple torpedoes which have been developed by a laboratory in Visakhapatnam, whether it is lightweight torpedo, THAAD, or the Varunastra, which is a little heavyweight torpedo which has got a bigger range. Both these torpedoes have been already completely developed, gone through all the trials, and have been inducted into the Indian Navy. And there are advanced systems in this area which are also under advanced stages of development, along with the necessary all technologies which are required for the, whether it is the fiber technology or the launch tubes or the homing technologies which are required for this based on the sonar signals what you are able to get, and the varieties of special batteries and power supplies what are required for this also have been developed in-house within the country, and we are able to incorporate into all these torpedoes and being given to Indian Armed Forces, that is Indian Navy. Now today I can definitely say that we have developed lots of technologies which are required for the torpedoes and able to get into the technologies which are much more advanced also in these areas. This is another important thing where all necessary technologies have been developed. In all these things, what I mean to say is, except getting into the electronic components which are available in the free market, we are able to develop everything here and then incorporate into these systems, not dependent on anyone strategically. This is another important area where we are developing. Similarly, we are also able to develop the AWACS systems, airborne early warning systems, which are required for various surveillance related applications. You must have heard the Netra system, which has been developed by DRDO on aircraft. The aircrafts have already been delivered to the Indian Air Force, which has been used, which has hundreds of kilometers of range of detection of various signals and jamming capabilities and multiple frequency bands is one more important area what the country has developed a capability that airborne early warning systems have been developed in this country and have been handed over to the multiple users. This is another important area where you have developed. I also mentioned about communication systems and varieties of communication systems which are required for various applications have been developed in the country, including SDR, the software defined radio. So we have developed all these systems which are required for surface to air, air to air applications, air to ground applications, or from multiple radar stations to the missiles which are traveling hundreds of kilometers, we could establish a reliable communication channel with all these systems which are required. And also software-defined radios have been established. Indian Navy has already inducted the software-defined radios what have been developed by DRDO, and they are also getting into Indian Armed Forces now, Indian Air Force and Indian Army in a big way. And also the terminals which are required for the satellite communication, these also have been developed in the country, and various other radios which need to be interfaced with systems which are bought from outside also have been developed here in the country. So this is again talking about the communication technologies what are required by the Indian Armed Forces, which have been developed within the country completely with right from design to production stage. Then talking about tanks, Arjun Mark 1 has been developed, which has been inducted by the armed forces. Then Mark 2 has been developed with lots of change, updates and modifications and upgrades in that Mark 1 Arjun, and that also has gone through the complete user trials that is being inducted into the armed forces now in a big way. So this has made the country that you are able to develop any type of a main battle tank, and today even a lightweight tank also. So you have the capabilities to develop any type of a tank today with the type of knowledge and technologies which have come through Arjun, Mark 1 and Mark 2 developments also. And this also has led to the development of varieties of ammunitions what are required by these tanks also. This is another important thing. The ordnance factory and some of the private industries are able to develop varieties of ammunition also. In fact, when we talk about these ammunitions, we have also developed in the country varieties of mines and other systems what are required. Today, industry is able to produce them in large numbers. I don't want to name them, but large number of ammunitions also have been developed in the country, along with the tank and then mines which are required by the armed forces, and varieties of vehicles which actually repair and service vehicles and other things also which are required for this. Along with this, we also could develop a vehicle called VAP, Wheeled Armored Platform. It's a wheeled platform instead of a tracked platform. This has been developed in collaboration with an industry, and this is also both for paramilitary forces and also for the armed forces. In fact, presently the vehicle is there in the mountains doing varieties of applications and trials what are required by the armed forces. Then another important development what the country has seen through is the artillery gun, 155 mm artillery gun. Today we can very proudly say that the gun which has been developed by DRDO with two industries and which is going through its final trials now is the world's longest range gun. It has a range capability which no other gun of this caliber, 155 mm class gun, has got in the world. It has been completely tested for varieties of temperatures, applications, ranges and all that, and is getting ready, and it is now going for now final user trials. It is called ATAGS, Advanced Towed Array Gun System, which is being produced by Bharat Forge and also Tata's two companies which are producing these things. And then of course the varieties of rockets and bombs also have been developed by this country, guided bombs, which have also inducted into the armed forces in a big number. The other technologies what I was talking, which we are marching towards the self-reliance is, one is the fighter aircrafts. Having developed the Tejas aircraft, which is actually 20 numbers have already been inducted and 20 more numbers in the final operation clearance configuration are getting into the Indian Air Force. Now the 83 numbers, the final version of LCM Mark 1A, order is in the final stages. Anytime the order should be placed on HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, for development of production of this LCA Mark 1 aircraft. So India is one of the very few countries, 6 or 7 countries, who have developed their own fighter aircrafts for their country. So India also has joined that wagon. And today I can say that the ecosystem for the aerospace industry has come up well in the country, wherein we are talking about LCA Mark II, we are talking about AMCA, Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, and naval fighter aircraft, and so many aircrafts we are able to talk about today in the country to develop these aircrafts and produce these aircrafts in the country. I also forgot about another thing when I was talking about cruise missiles, is Nirbhay cruise missile, which completely has been developed with indigenously, which has a very long range and which will be able to fly in subsonic cruise speeds, and has been gone through its developmental trials also. So these are the various systems which have been developed in the country. I will not be able to get into more and more systems, otherwise I will be taking a lot of time in telling about these systems. So you could develop many technologies and many systems in the country, and now marching towards many advanced technologies which are required also. Whether you must have seen recently whatever is developed, the new generation anti-radiation missile, or delivery of a torpedo using a missile at longer ranges, and enhancing the range of BrahMos, are talking about the hypersonic missile technologies, are talking about varieties of radar technologies which are required, developing using not only just gallium arsenide technologies, getting into gallium nitride technologies, and getting into high power radar for longer ranges and better accuracy and all that, and getting into the other domains of the technologies which are required by this country, talking about whether materials development, varieties of materials development which are required for whether it is aircraft applications or missile applications, or talking about ship applications or sub and all that, and all these technologies which are required, the fundamental technologies which are required for this, or otherwise talking about for submarines, air independent propulsion technologies, or the coatings, or the tiles which are required for these ships and submarines, and the domes which are required, sonar domes and all that. All these are being developed in the country in the various laboratories for varieties of applications. And talk about the devices which are required, microelectronic devices, or talking about the FPS development, or the optics which are required for this development. These are all some of those developments happening in various laboratories as a feeder channel to these facilities. And also the upcoming areas like artificial intelligence, robotics, are talking about cyber activities. This is another important area where we are again concentrating very seriously, working on those areas. Now friends, you also must be aware that Honorable Prime Minister has directed DRDO to establish 5 laboratories completely filled by youngsters, including the director. So we have established 5 young scientist laboratories, and all these 5 laboratories are filled with scientists who are below 35 years old. Even the director of that each laboratory is below 35 years old. He has the powers same as any other laboratory, and the Honorable Prime Minister in Bangalore this year in January has dedicated these laboratories to the nation. They work in advanced technologies, whether it is artificial intelligence, or talking about quantum technologies, talking in cognitive technologies, talking in asymmetric technologies, or talking in advanced materials. These are the areas where these young scientist labs are working. Also, we are working with academia in a very big way. We have centers of excellence established in many of the places, whether it is in IIT Delhi, or IIT Mumbai and propulsion technologies, or in IIT Chennai, or in Jadavpur University, Calcutta, or in Bharatiya University in Coimbatore, or in Central University in Hyderabad, or in Jammu University and cyber related technologies, are working on life sciences related technologies in Mizoram University, are some of those centers of excellence what we have established, working with various academic institutes. Today, we are working with about 295 academic institutes on various defense related problems, getting the core technologies developed from academia and trying to use them in developing various products. And friends, let me tell you, we are almost about spending about 1,000 crores on academic institutes for development of various technologies and developing the ecosystem and making researchers come out of these academic institutes working on defense related problems. In fact, recently we have signed an MOU with the Ministry of Higher Education, and wherein 500 PhD students will be working from various universities or academic institutes, working straight away in DRDO laboratories on 500 defense related problems. They've already started working now through various academic institutes in the country, and will be in after about 3 or 4 years, will be able to come out with 500 theses on defense related problems. So likewise, many things which we have started working with academic institutes on defense related core technologies and problems. Similarly, the other ecosystem is the industry. Today, friends, I can say that there are close to about 2,000 industries who are able to work with us as Tier 1 and Tier 2 industries. That means they are able to supply systems, they are able to supply subsystems and everything. For this, the best example is the Akash missile, which is being produced by Bharat Dynamics Limited along with Bharat Electronics Limited, having about close to 30,000 crores worth of orders being produced. Today, the industry is able to supply about 87% by value from various industries, systems and subsystems. That's how the ecosystem has developed. Industry is able to come out. Industry today has come out from build to print to build to specification. Friends, a couple of years back or a decade back, almost all the industries were working as a build to print industries with us. Now they have grown from build to print to build to specifications. That means I specify a system and they are able to design, develop, and they are able to produce those systems. This is one very important thing which has come up. If industries are able to work on the current technologies, DRDO will be able to work on more advanced technologies. And as Tier 3 industries, we have about close to totally 10,000 industries working in the country today on defense related various components to manufacturing and things like that. So that is the type of an industry ecosystem which has come in. We are also promoting design and development activities in the industry, and also trying to promote research activities in the industries also, which was not happening earlier. We have schemes called Technology Development Funding in DRDO or IDEX in the Ministry of Defense, which is promoting design and development activity in the country. All the systems which you are trying to develop or all the systems which are importing today, we are actually promoting this technology development fund in the industries where they can indigenize these systems. This funding is to the industries wherein we fund the development, we fund the research in that industries to come out with varieties of systems and technologies. Similarly, to the startups are being promoted in a big way using IDEX scheme, wherein the startups are encouraged to come out with innovations and various technological products which are required by the defense of this country. And one sea change I can see is a couple of years back, when we say that youngsters means they were all joining the ICT area, information communication technology area, or the startups which are coming also were in the information communication technology area. Whereas today, there are many startups which are coming in the defense technologies. Youngsters who are coming out of the colleges are able to come out and work on defense technologies. They are establishing startups in our area, not only just working on drones and drones related technologies, they are able to work out on propulsion technologies, they are able to work out on material technologies, they are able to work on navigation technologies, they are able to work on control related technologies, or radar technologies related, or cyber technologies related, or space for defense related technologies. Lots of industries, lots of youngsters and startups are coming in this area. This one welcome change what is happening. So what happens now onwards is, friends, we have been trying to catch up with the world in the technologies, in the particular defense technologies. Many of the technologies are in also building big platforms, whether it is aircrafts, or talk about submarines, or ships, or carrier vehicles for the Indian Navy. These are all. Now these are all the systems which are being developed in the country. We are actually coming up and catching with the world by developing all these systems. Now onwards, the scenario will be changing. We are focusing on advanced technology. We are focusing on futuristic technologies, which actually world is moving towards. So we also want to be not lagging behind. Today onwards, India will be working on the technologies where either you are contemporary with the advanced nations, or you also will be developing the first of its kind technologies. That's how I said about ecosystem. The ecosystem in this is the academia, the R&D organizations like us, and the industry. Whether you talk about MSMEs or startups or the other industries. These are the three major elements. The core technologies are the basic research to applied research will happen in the academia. These basic research to applied research will be taken by the R&D organizations like us, and we try to take them up to the translation, trying to develop the prototypes, and industry is able to take these prototypes and able to produce them in large numbers with a sustained quality. So this is what it is. And even industry, we are now encouraging to carry out research in the niche areas to come out with the specific things, and Indian industry is able to do very well in that. They are coming out with a lot of research oriented products. In fact, there are a couple of industries who are able to sell their products in the defense technologies area worldwide, even acquiring the industries there outside also. This is one of the things. Now, when I say that, the country has to become prosperous, country has to become self-reliant and also prosperous. The country has to become self-reliant by equipping the armed forces with state-of-the-art technology-based products which are built in this country. That is one of the important things. That is what Honorable Prime Minister has called Atmanirbhar Bharat, meaning equip the Indian armed forces with indigenously designed, developed and produced products is number one. Number two, making this country prosperous. How do you make the country prosperous? I'm talking about with respect to the defense domain, leaving aside all other areas left to many other experts. There, you have to sell your products to the entire world. How do you sell these products? You will be able to sell this product if it is first of its kind product or the state-of-the-art product. That's number one. Number two, the product is price-wise lower, and number three, the product having high reliability. So these are the important things. If we are able to produce a state-of-the-art product at a lower price and having a good reliability, we will be able to sell all over the world this product. So for that, academia and DRDO will have to work together and come out with most advanced product, and industry should be able to produce them at a lower price with the manufacturing technologies which are coming up, using those manufacturing technologies and also maintaining a sustained quality which gives you the reliability. If this we are able to do, then we will be able to sell it all over the world. So this is what is required today. So India, having developed many technologies today, you are actually trying to catch up with the entire world by developing the technologies of yesterday and today. We have to move towards tomorrow's technologies and equip the armed forces with state-of-the-art equipment or arms and ammunition, and then sell it all over the world. This is how the country is going to become prosperous. The country will be always prepared for any eventuality with the most advanced weapons and arms and ammunition. And this is our goal, and this is how all the three main constituent elements in this, the academia, R&D organizations and the industry have to play their roles very effectively is the motive. And I'm sure that the institutes like you will be able to promote these ideas and synergize the efforts of all the three constituent elements. And also we should be able to inspire the youngsters more and more work towards these technologies, which are very essential for the security of this nation. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts, some of the developments what have happened in the country. And thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor and Professor Arvind Kumar and everyone who have given me this opportunity. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir. Very
Thank
comprehensive.
you, sir, and Jai Hind.
As always, it's a great learning experience for all of us. Listening to you is always very thing. And as I have discussed, that we teach a course in our postgraduate program, role of science and technology in geopolitics. And your lecture today obviously has broadened our horizon. In your absence, I think we have started dock at 5, thinking that you are there because your account was showing that you are there. And we have had a very good presidential address by our Vice Chancellor. I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor to say a few words now.
At the outset, let me thank you for taking your time out from your busy schedule and having shared your thoughts and made all Indians proud by the work that you all are doing. And your vision for the future of India is something amazing. And I'm sure all our students who have been part of this discourse will be inspired, and they will put in their best efforts towards matching your thoughts and actions with their own research activities in academia. I assure you, sir, MAHE as a leading private institute and a leading technology institute out here will always be in the forefront in any assistance that we can offer to you. And I, at a personal level, I've always been part of DRDO. I've been as a researcher and also as Additional Director General Armed Forces Medical Services and Medical Research. I've been in close collaboration with your life sciences laboratories. Even today, post-retirement, I still am part of DEBEL in their endeavor in developing an indigenous cochlear implant program. And I'm sure, sir, going forward, we look forward to you coming here in person and delivering one of our most prestigious lectures, or maybe even a convocation address once things become better. And thank you so very much, sir, for your wonderful, wonderful discourse. You have made us all proud today by your thoughts and by your futuristic action for the country. Once again, on behalf of everybody out here in MAHE, my sincere appreciation and thanks to you for the time spent with us today. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, will you take some questions, sir? 1 or 2?
Yeah, please.
So this is a right opportunity for you as students. If you have any questions, in the first round we can take 2. I know he has very limited time. I think giving so much of time to us itself shows his showing a lot of importance to our department and MAHE. So if any of you have any questions, can you raise the hand? Can you introduce yourself before asking the question? Go ahead.
Good evening, sir. I am Rhythm Bharadwaj.
Go ahead, Bharadwaj.
Sir, my question is, what are the type of technologies that we can develop in quantum field? What type of technologies, like there are super quantum computers that we are developing?
I'll answer you, Bharadwaj. Quantum technologies is one thing which actually is upcoming in a big way, which is very important for the defense needs. Firstly, talk about quantum computing. You know, the computing is one of the very important needs today, very high capability in the computing area, whether it is applications which are large simulation studies related things or any onboard related applications is one of the important things. More than that, in fact, the communication, which is a secure communication, is the most important thing what is required by the armed forces or defense needs today. For talk about any point-to-point communication or other related applications, or even satellite communication, satellite to ground and ground to satellite applications, or I'm talking about a communication to a submarine, is one of the another important area which actually the quantum technologies is supposed to be doing. And then when we talk about quantum sensors, we're talking about either quantum navigation, talking about quantum radars is another important application which actually the country is looking for. The Young Scientist Laboratory, which is there in IIT Mumbai, or the TIFR, or some of our laboratories like CARE in Bangalore or SSPL in Delhi, are the ones which are working with couple of academic institutes and TIFR in Mumbai to develop these technologies. Our endeavor right now, we have actually in the laboratory, we have established over 5 hour quantum communication for about 10 kilometers now, and we should be able to establish between 2 cities a quantum communication in the next year. This is what it is, and the required all these technologies in development of the qubits and all that should happen as quickly as possible to develop a quantum computer. Next one, please.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bharadwaj.
Any other question is there?
Hello.
Raise your
Hello,
hand.
sir. Myself, Aditya.
Go ahead.
Hello, sir. I am audible?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, I am having the questions. First of all, sir, I would like to thank Secretary, sir, for this session. And my question is, sir, I want to ask about AI, artificial intelligence role for the future in terms of defense technology, because most of the prominent countries are now working towards artificial intelligence. So what role we can see in terms of defense technology?
Important role in defense. I say one thing now. All the systems which will be coming out now onwards for the defense applications will be AI systems, AI-based systems. I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm talking about an anti-tank missile example. Now, identifying a tank in the different environmental conditions, whether you're talking about in a desert, you're talking about some other place, or you're talking about in winter, you're talking about in summer, or in different kinds of environments, identifying a target which is an enemy tank itself is an AI-based problem, and then you are maneuvering yourself to the target. This is one thing. Talk about radars. Identifying and fingerprinting a enemy's aircraft and identifying what type of aircraft it is and which aircraft is again a aircraft. Or talking about the informations which are available on this and then AI-based solutions for that to identify or analyze it and then fingerprint it, or many things. So you talk about anything today is an AI-based application or AI-based system which is going to come for defense-related applications. You must be knowing that we have established almost about 25 to 30 years back itself a laboratory in Bangalore called Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, which is working with armed forces in a big way for many of the signal integrity and the related applications and all that. And then we have established again in Bangalore a Young Scientist Laboratory for artificial intelligence, which is again working on many problems. Actually, I will say, you take a simple example of again facial recognition and identifying who is the person, even if he has disguised himself and using some of those methods and all that, and then still you are able to identify using your normal cameras on the street is a simple application. So these are all the varieties of applications which, so all our system labs which are there, which are producing systems, have now, we have tasked them to have a AI group in every lab, which will ensure that all the systems which are coming out of these laboratories are AI based systems. So this is the type of importance what we are giving. And as I said, all the future systems will be AI based systems.
We can take one more question. Any of you have? Yes, go ahead, Vasu.
Good evening, sir. This is
Good evening,
Vasu
Vasu.
Sharma. This is Vasu Sharma from MA first year. So my question is regarding how could the issue of how could we tackle issues of reverse implications of AI and or the issues of misidentification, considering safeguarding our defense technologies and modern defense equipments in a situation of cyber warfare.
Good question. As you know, whenever we are working on a technology, we need to work on the reverse direction of that technology also. Any technology. As I said, if you talk about a missile, you're talking about an anti-missile. I was telling something back, it is a ballistic missile. You also need to work on anti-ballistic missile technologies also. So when you talk about cyber warfare, there's one important thing wherein cyber and space have become fourth and fifth dimensions of warfare now in the given scenario. We need to work on this in a big way for the both offensive side and also defense technology is also required. So how much you work on offensive, you need to work that much on the defensive technologies also, which are again, as I said, all are AI based things. In fact, if you look at the papers in the world, people are talking about anti-AI systems and anti-AI technologies also. These are some of the important things which we need to work in the future. As you are working towards one system, you need to work on the reverse side of it also. So the work has started in a couple of academic institutes and research laboratories already, and we should be able to come out with some of the solutions also in the coming years. But one thing is that our country still has to develop and produce a lot of skills in the particularly the area what you have asked in the cyber, and of course artificial intelligence. In fact, in this development of the skill, many academic institutes have come into the forefront. They are offering many courses as elective courses. Some of them are offering as MTech courses also. In fact, DRDO is also training people. We have taken ourselves a pledge that we will be training 1,000 people in each area per year. The Defense Institute of Armament Advanced Technology in Pune, DIAT, which is a deemed university from DRDO, has offered these courses and conducted an examination, selected people, 500 each in this area as the first course, and it's offering already the training courses are going on in both cyber and AI. And the next course probably will start after another about 4 months or 5 months. And it is all of you are welcome to join the courses. And we need to produce a lot of skilled manpower in the cyber domain in this country. And we need to make a lot of people develop cyber related products in this country also. That is one of the things. I think many of you can actually establish startups in this area once you come out of the your institutions, and then come out with varieties of products and work with us.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Professor Arun Kumar. So nice seeing you and talking to you again after a long time.
I would like my colleague Dr. Anand V to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure to propose the vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Satish Reddy for taking his valuable time from his busy schedule to enlighten us about a topic which is of immense significance for us, especially at a time when India is facing a major threat from China on its borders. I mean, it would be an understatement, sir, to say that your lecture has heightened our awareness about the level of self-reliance and in India's defense capabilities. I would also like to thank Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, the Vice Chancellor of MAHE, for gracing the occasion and delivering the inaugural address, as well as for his blessings and support always. My thanks to Professor Vijay Khare from Savitribai Phule University for his presence in this lecture. I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Arvind Kumar, the head of GIR MAHE, for providing us this valuable opportunity to listen to Dr. Satish Reddy. I would also like to thank my colleagues for all their help in organizing this distinguished lecture. Also, my thanks to the audience who has raised some very relevant questions to Dr. Reddy and has made the experience very interactive. So finally, I thank all the invitees, faculty and students for being a part of this lecture and making this a very enriching learning experience. So enjoy the evening and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Hope to see you soon in Manipal.
Thank you. And thank you, Honorable Vice Chancellor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Look forward to meeting you soon.
Thank you. Sure, sure. Whenever you come to Delhi, please let me know.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. All the best. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Anand Kumar.